everyone. Welcome to another international workshop by Tyros. Today we have with us Miss Erica Wilson. Hello, Erica. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Uh, Welcome you to our workshop, and we're so pleased to have you with us today. So, Erica is
Yes.
from Oklahoma, and she's a passionate gardener, a mom to a lovely girl, and they've always dreamt of having their own little garden at home, and they finally got a beautiful home with a garden, with a gardening space, of course, and that's how her gardening journey started. So today she'll be telling us about her plants that she grows in her garden and how her planting journey started. And yeah, so we're gonna hear it from her. If you want to connect with her personally, you can check out her Instagram page called Monjardo Ocon. Have I said it right?
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty close, yeah. It's Mon Jardin au Coin. It means my
Mon-
garden on the corner. So.
yeah, okay. Okay. So, yeah, over to you, Erica. Uh,
Okay,
please tell us
great.
everything that you have to share with us.
Yeah. So, like you said, my name's Erica, and I live in Oklahoma, which is in the United States. Where, if you look at a map, we're right in the middle, with like a little state that has that little hook there for the panhandle. And Tulsa is situated a little northeast of I would say, close to northeast of the state. And if you're looking at grow zones, we are grow zone 7A. Sometimes they can kind of consider us 7B, but it's typically 7A because we get kind of cold over here in the winter. And we also have really hot summers. Um, but yeah, so in my adult life, I lived in apartments and things like that with my daughter. And we always wanted to have a garden and big yard so Audrey could run around and just a garden so I could grow food. And I always had this romantic idea that I would grow my own food and then also preserve a lot of it, make my own herbs and pickle and do things like that. So I would have that. So now in 2019, in May of 2019, I moved into this house, bought it, and it has a pretty good sized backyard. So I'm pretty happy about that. Lots and lots of room to grow many things. So very happy.
Amazing.
And then, and that's the reason why I grow them. I also do my channel because I wanted to share basically the good times and the bad times of it being a beginning gardener, because sometimes people, I mean, I struggle every day with keeping plants alive. I definitely do not have a green thumb, but sometimes I fail, and more often than not. But definitely had some successes recently, so I'm pretty proud.
Yeah,
So
that's a part and parcel of gardening. You can't
yes,
like
exactly.
always be successful.
Yes, yeah, you have to count all the victories instead of the failures. So,
Yes,
um,
exactly.
and it has also kept my spirits up with, like, all the things that have happened in the world and personally and stuff like that. So it's always good to go out to the garden. And so with the grow zone, so 7A means we have basically, like, I would say all four seasons, but fall is pretty short typically, and then winter hits pretty hard in like January, February, and then we have spring, and then summer is pretty long and hot here, and so there's a lot of humidity, so that takes out a lot of. I have trouble growing cucumbers and pumpkins because the powdery mildew from the humidity causes the powdery mildew, and then in the summer I got a lot of pests with, like, vine borers and things like that. So I have to worry about a little bit of that. But and, um, but I looked up, some of my friends live in Karur, India. I'm not sure. I hope I said that correctly. And I looked up that grow zone, so there'd be a little bit of you know reference for that, and it's 6A. So if that kind of gives you a little bit of reference, I guess it stays pretty cooler, a little bit cooler there than it would here, um, comparatively speaking.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, which
Um,
part of India did you say?
uh, Karur, Karur. I hope I said that right. I'm sorry.
I think you're referring to Kerala. Is
Oh,
it
maybe
Kerala?
it's kind of
Yeah.
northern. Maybe.
Yeah. It's
Sorry about
it's
that.
yeah. It's Kerala is a very close to the sea. It's a coastal region where the temperature is humid and very hot also at sometimes. And we have
Yeah,
great vegetation over there. So I think maybe
very
that's
good.
country, that's the state you're referring to.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
um, So, and I can go ahead and talk about some of the plants I have here that I grow here. We do we do the typical for like in the states here. We do typical things like tomatoes, cucumbers, jalapeno, peppers, lots of herbs like rosemary, thyme, basil, things like that. Um, but I like to kind of go out the ordinary and try new things. So I have my olive trees um, that
Wow.
I have fallen in love with them. This is a smaller one compared to some of the other ones that I have. They're kind of tucked away in the garage right now because it gets so cold here. And they thrive in like arid temperatures, very warm, and so it gets pretty humid and cold here. So, but they seem to be doing okay. I got two olives off of two of the trees that I had over the summer, so it was kind of a happy moment for me.
Oh, interesting.
And then, yeah, and then I have several citrus plants. This one is a Mexican lime tree, and I just got this one this summer, and I'm pretty excited about it because I have some little limes hanging out on there. And then last year, I got a kumquat tree for my birthday from my mother. Here's, I'll show you some kumquats that
Oh
I've
wow.
harvested,
Those
and
are
they're very good. I'm sorry,
oh,
go ahead.
lovely. Yeah, yeah, we can see it. Yeah, lovely.
um, and then got the basil, some dill here, and then I started some. I saw that you could grow saffron here, and so I had asked, or I had found them online to where I could buy them, and they got imported from. Goodness, now I can't remember where they were.
Oh, it's
I'll think
okay.
about it later.
Yeah.
But anyway, I planted the bulbs, and it took them probably about 3 weeks to come up to sprout up in the fall here. And then when they came up, they had beautiful flowers. Um, and I dried some of them, so you can kind of see them
Wow.
here,
Beautiful.
and they
Yeah.
smelled so amazing.
Oh wow.
Um, the Netherlands, they came from the Netherlands. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
And then so I harvested them, and then I got some of the saffron
Oh wow.
stamens from
So
them.
yeah, so like from how many flowers did you get those strands? Those many strands. I'm sure there must
Well,
have been a
so
lot of flowers.
yes, so you can only get three stamen strands from per plant. So I think it was
Oh, okay.
probably, I think maybe six to seven
Oh,
plants that I received those from. So, and I
so
dried
then,
them, and they were.
sorry, sorry to interrupt you.
That's
Go
okay.
on.
They were quite. They looked bigger whenever I harvested them, but once they dried, I just put them on parchment paper and let them dry for a couple of days, and then I put them in there. So they kind of shriveled up a little smaller than what they were originally.
Okay.
And then this is what the bulbs looked like um,
Oh,
when I
lovely.
planted them. They didn't have this, but I think they're so cute.
Yes. So they grow perfectly indoors? Do you keep them indoors?
So these, I didn't test them to do indoors. I brought these in so I could show them off. But
Okay.
tried them. I did try them in containers like this. Did this one, and then I have some out there in a raised flower bed that I had, the tomatoes in. I cleaned them out and then put those in, And then on the other side, my daughter has planted leeks. She really likes to have leek and potato soup. So she planted a
Okay.
bunch of leeks. But yeah, I did that. And then I did it in another type of container to try it out and see how well they would do. And they all came up really well. They liked what was
Um,
going on.
yeah. Okay. Okay. We have a question, Erica. The bulb that you were showing, is that of the saffron plant?
Yes, this is an actual saffron plant. So this right, I had it in the bag. I was going to give it to some friends. So, but it's doing its work growing. Unfortunately, I did not put it in the ground, but I will put it in some soil to let it go. But this is what right here. If you look at it like that, that's what the bulb looks like for
Okay.
saffron. And then they
Amazing.
grow. Usually, you plant it like this, and then the
Yeah, it grows
plant
upward.
part of it would grow up. Yeah. So,
It's beautiful. So,
and
like, you get to just harvest saffrons once in a year?
yes, once in a year, and they'll come up in the fall, start coming up late fall, and then you harvest them. Probably, I think it was probably 2 or 3 weeks later, maybe a month, but they're only the flowers are only on there probably I'd say 2 to 3 days max, and they start kind of wilting down, and so you have
Okay.
to harvest them kind of fast. I blinked my eye and they were already blooming and looked really nice. So
Oh, wow. Oh, lovely. So, like, it's easy to grow saffrons there.
yes, it was for me at least. They came at I just literally just planted the bulbs and then they grew really well.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't I didn't fertilize it or anything. But I'm anxious to see next year if they multiply, like normal tulip bulbs or crocuses do. I'm hoping they do, so that way I have a lot more next year.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, there's a question. How can we grow saffron apart from bulb? Is there any other way, like from the seeds or from anything else?
Mm, I'll have to look that one up. I don't think you can. I think you have to have the bulb. It's
Okay.
because I don't recall seeing any kind of seed or anything like that come up. That's a really good question.
Okay. Thank you for answering. Okay. So, anything else that you want to talk about? Other plants that you know?
Well, I'll show you my seedlings that I had started. These are kales and Brussels sprouts, and what I've done is I put them in here. Planted the seeds, sowed the seeds, and then I put them in this container to where I could bottom water it. And the reason why I have started doing bottom watering is to prevent gnat infestations, because we get a lot of that, the fungus gnats that come in. And so when you bottom water it, it's a little bit better, and it's a little more efficient because you can water them under there and leave it, and then come back and drain it if you need to, any
Oh,
excess.
amazing. Oh, so okay. There's one more question about the bulbs. Everybody's excited to know about the saffron because
I know they're so amazing. I love them.
yes, like we've never seen anybody growing saffrons at home. So, where can we get these bulbs?
So I got them from a place here in the States online called Renee's Garden Seeds. And
Oh,
I can maybe give you the link. Maybe they'll ship them, but they came from the Netherlands. I remembered after I got to thinking about them. So
okay.
maybe even if you were able to get them from the Netherlands from a company there. But
Yeah.
I ordered them, and it was about 25 bulbs, and yeah,
Okay.
and they shipped to me.
Okay. Amazing. And tell us about the lime and the lemon plants that you were talking about, Erica.
Yeah, so I have the lime tree. The We got a Meyer lemon tree last year. Well, two of them. My daughter has one, and I have one. And I was able to harvest some Meyer lemons last year, and I sliced them up and put them in the dehydrator with some sugar, and so we had candied lemon slices. Um, and then the kumquat trees. And then this year I also added a little orange tree, like a clementine type orange tree, the little smaller one. So nothing has come from that yet, though.
Oh, okay.
um, I did forget to mention too. Whenever you have seedlings,
Uh-huh.
before you plant them outside, it's important to take them out, every once in a while before you plant them, so you can harden them off, so that they can kind of get used to their area and acclimate to the atmosphere that'll be outside. Um, because they're in a controlled area, typically in your house, where they're not exposed to any elements or anything like that. So it kind of shocks them when they go out there for the first time. So it's good to have them out like an hour a day, and then kind of like slowly make it more. So an hour one day, 2 hours the next day, and kind of slowly go like that.
Oh,
So
okay.
you
That's
don't.
a wonderful tip. Like, so you put this tray outside, you mean, for some time?
Mhm.
Okay, and
Yeah. So
before
I'll
planting them actually in the soil.
Correct. Yes.
Oh,
I'll take them out with me while I'm working and leave them out there. Let them get used to the wind and the cool air, if it's cool at the time or hot. So like my tomatoes this year in the early spring, I grew them in a tray kind of like that, and then I up potted them so they'll be bigger and have more space. And then I would take them out with me while I was working in the yard for an hour or so, and bring them back in, then take them out, and bring them in, and things like that, so that they would get used to being out in that weather, and not be like, what's going on,
oh yeah, amazing.
from the start.
Yeah,
So,
so
I
like
did that.
they get as you said, they get used to the temperatures and the environment out there, and they grow better when you plant them into the soil.
For sure. And they get used to the sun, but like if the sun gets really harsh, they get used to that, and they won't get immediately sunburnt, and wilt. So it's
Yeah.
good.
So is that a typical? We have a question here. That tray looks really different and interesting. Is that a typical seedling tray, or is it something you made at home or something?
Uh, so, so it's this one is kind of new. I got it from a company called Burpee.
Okay.
But what you can do is, the typical ones that we use they're black, and they're kind of like a thinner plastic. I don't have one in here with me, but I was testing these out. But they come like this, where you can lift the seedling tray up and water on the bottom, and then you have the thing on the bottom like that.
That's lovely.
I do like the
Yeah.
new. I'm very, very happy with the new style of it.
Okay. So like after how many days or weeks or like after uh, when do you know that you have to like replant them, change them into the soil? For
So I
every
keep an eye
plant,
on
it is
them.
different.
Yeah, every plant is different. With these, I really should be potting these, but they'll get like a true leaf, so you can kind of
Hmm.
see these kind of look like a little different, kind of jaggedy compared to these that are on the side, and so that's kind of when they should be going in. Like I said, these I've kind of let them stay in here a little too long, but
Yeah,
uh,
lovely.
and with tomatoes, they just start getting taller and too big for their area. So you can kind of tell whenever you're looking at them and watering them and stuff like that. I just kind of keep an eye on them, and then I repot them. Some people, they seed tomato plants and peppers as well. They'll sow a lot of seeds in one cell, if you will, and then whenever they're up potting them, when they start getting pretty tall, they'll take them out and then kind of separate them out, so that they had space saving, and they could just move it in there, and separate them out into a bigger pot for themselves, for the
Oh,
plants.
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, interesting. So tell us something about the name of your page. Like, why do you have that name? It's an interesting name.
Yes. So when we moved over here, the my house is on a corner lot, and so I had called my house. We like to name our houses or the apartments that we live in. And so I called it Ma Maison au Coin, which means my house on the corner. And so whenever I started doing the garden, and I just started calling it Mon Jardin au Coin, which is French for my garden on the corner. And so I thought, well, I'll just continue calling it that, and decided to name my Instagram page and YouTube channel after that.
Lovely, lovely story.
I have a love for the French language.
Oh, okay. We can see a lot of plants around you. Erica, can you tell us the other plants that you grow?
Yes. So I have, I'll hold this up for you. So I started this, I actually have the seed packet here. It's purple Petra basil. And I wrote on here 14th of February. I had started these seeds at that time in here, in one of these seed trays, and had them under grow light. So I was testing it out in this little pot here, this little trio, and it did pretty well through the summer. So I have loads of basil that I really like. I like to do different things with it, dry it. We also, my daughter and I we'll chop it up and we'll put it in olive oil in ice cube trays and then freeze them. And so whenever we're cooking pasta or something like that, we'll just kind of toss that in there. And she also sautés her vegetables with it sometimes and has like a little side dish like that with the
Wow,
basil.
lovely.
And then I have my little rosemary. It didn't do so well in this little thing, but it's still growing. And then I have some oregano here. It did pretty well, but it's getting cold out here for these guys, and I've had them outside, so they're not really happy with all the cold weather.
Okay.
And,
That
and
was
then
an
this is
interesting
another type of
planter,
basil.
like three plants in one.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting.
my
That's
little
lovely
herb tree.
to have all
Thank
the
you.
herbs in one place.
Yeah. I have a crate out there too that I got from my work. My day job, I work at a place where they manufacture a lot of stuff, and so they had these wooden crates, and we filled it with soil and then put some herbs in there, and so it's kind of like that, but with some different types of herbs. It's really nice to have them all in one place.
Yes.
So, and then this is dill back here, and I like to use that whenever I do pickling or even mix it with some yogurt and things like that. And then this is another type of basil. It's called pesto perpetuo, and this one is unique because it is. I didn't grow this from seed, but uh, it is variegated. I don't know if you can see the different colors on the leaves.
Yes.
And the other unique thing about this one is it is sterile, so it won't ever have seeds coming out of the top of it or out of the leaves. You have to start it by propagating it.
Okay, interesting.
So that one's pretty interesting. And then I have some spearmint here that I pulled out from my front yard that I had planted. And if I could plant this all over my yard, I would do it, because whenever I mow, you could smell mint through out there, so it smelled
Yeah.
like my yard brushed its teeth,
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I have some dried peppers too that I had, so just different things that I
Okay,
brought
so
out.
like, how do you protect your plants? You say it's the winters are very extreme here. So how do you protect your plants during winters?
So the olive trees and the lemon tree and things like that, I keep them in my garage currently, and I have some lights above that are considered kind of grow type lights. Keep them in there, and then I have the space heater in there to keep them warm as well. Um, because if I kept them outside, these possibly would be okay, but I don't. I'm too chicken to risk it, risk them dying. But the citrus plants definitely have to come inside. They definitely would not like it. But last year I did have one of my lemon trees in a south window, to where it would get maximum light during the day, and it liked it pretty well sitting there.
Okay.
And then and like basil, usually things like that, I just kind of like let it go in the winter outside and just clean up the pots and everything. But sometimes it'll reseed and then come back the next year um, and be fine.
Oh,
And
okay.
lavender does that too. So,
Oh, yeah, amazing. So, tell us, Erica, like, what are the plants that grow very well in winters at your end?
so let's
Winter
see, the
plants, that's
brassicas,
what we can call.
yeah, brassicas like kale, lettuces, things like that. They do fairly well in the winter. Radishes do fairly well as well. Let's see, garlic. We usually plant garlic in the fall and then harvest it in the late spring. So garlic, onions, things like that that are root vegetables. Um, yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
about
so
it.
you
I'm trying
have
to
all
think of
these in your
Brussels
garden?
sprouts. So we have, oh, and leeks also. I'm sorry. So we have leeks. I do have kale, some lettuces, um, beets,
Hmm.
radishes. My radishes kind of got attacked by these little cabbage worms, so
Oh,
they're still fighting though, so it's good.
okay.
um, oh, and I have some chard out there as well. That's working hard. So yeah.
Amazing. Okay, also, somebody is asking, what is that in the glass jar behind you?
This right here, I guess.
Yeah, I
Oops.
think,
Okay.
yeah.
So these are okra. We grow these here. I usually plant them from seed, and I this will be my second year to grow them. A friend of mine, he actually recommended that I try them and try doing it. He said they're so easy. You just plant them and then they start growing, and they grow in these big stalks that are about. I mean, they got to be 10 feet tall. And I know it sounds like an exaggeration, but they were very tall and very wide stalks.
Okay,
But they start growing. They'll just kind of keep growing. You harvest them on the top, whenever they get big enough. But we pickle them, uh,
okay.
and then and it's typical in Oklahoma as well to batter them and then fry them. And so you have fried okra.
Oh, yeah, that's a very common and very loved vegetable in India. We eat a
Oh,
lot of
okay. I did
okra.
not know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I
We're
did not know that. That's awesome.
big fan of okra. So we use it in like uh, for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, for every time. Like, that's the most loved vegetable.
That's great. I did not know that. So you know that they get 10 feet tall.
Oh, yeah. So, like, what
So
other vegetables do you have? We would like to know.
let's see here. I'm trying to think of what else that I would do. So the tomatoes, squash and zucchini. I didn't have very much luck. For some reason, those types of things I didn't have luck with. But we did grow loofah, and I don't know how many people are familiar with them, but they're like these little sponges. And for some reason, I thought that they came from the ocean. It's a very silly, silly assumption, but
Wow.
these are the ones that you use in the bath, and some people use them to clean dishes as well.
Oh,
But
wow.
we grew them, and I brought one in. I'm drying them out so that I can clean them and make them like this. But this is how they looked on the vine, and this one's slowly drying, but this thing was amazing. It had like a 20 foot vines that just went all over. It was really pretty as well. But yeah, lots of seeds that come out of this as well. So
Oh, amazing. So this is the inner part of that vegetable. If
yes,
we cut it.
so you get this and then you dry it, and
Oh,
it when it dries it looks like this,
uh-huh.
and you can kind of, I think, see if you can hear the seeds
It is.
rattling around in there. And so
Yeah.
what you do is you peel it off, peel the skin off once it's completely dried, and then you get this out of there. Here's one that I haven't cleaned yet, um,
Oh,
that you
wow.
can kind of see. And then you just take all the seeds out and everything. Make sure all the debris is out. And then I soaked this in bleach water for about 30 minutes and kind of moved it around and made sure that it was nice and clean so that we could use it for
Okay,
cleaning.
so what do you use it for?
Cleaning, you can use it in the shower,
Okay.
to clean your body off with and stuff like that. And if you pick them young, so they'll be like really skinny and like probably about this big, you can saute them or, just cook with them, put them in your dishes as well. So you can eat them and uh, harvest them to use for bath sponges.
Oh, okay, lovely. Okay, so there's one more question coming in, Erica. What are the common
Okay.
flowers that are grown in your area?
So sunflowers, a lot of people grow sunflowers. We also have, I'm trying to think of what my friends grow out here. Uh, some of them that grow naturally, some of the wildflowers. I guess I would
You were
have to think
talking
about what
about
that is. I'm sorry.
lavender. Yeah, you were talking about lavender. Do
Oh,
you grow
lavender.
flowers also, or do you like to grow just
I
vegetables?
usually vegetables and herbs and things like that. So for lavender, I that's probably one of my favorite things to have is lavender. My daughter got some cosmos, poppies, things like that. But as far as things that grow here um, naturally, I would have to think about that one. But a lot of different variations of flowers. We have some bulbs that come up like tulips and some things they call them naked ladies that grow up here that are pretty interesting.
Okay, amazing. Okay,
But a
so
lot of
can we take a few
a lot
more
of
questions?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, what lessons have you learned in gardening journey so far? Somebody wants to know.
Let's see. Let's see. Well, personally, to not get too disappointed if something doesn't work out how you imagine it, because I have this like romantic idea of everything like working out and looking so beautiful out there, and then having a big harvest. And when it doesn't work out, I try to make sure I don't get so disappointed.
Yes,
um,
definitely.
and the yeah,
It can be
and the
very
other one.
relaxing and therapeutic to have to garden, but sometimes when it doesn't give the result, it can be depressing as well.
Yes, you're like, why did you die? What did I do to you? So
Yeah.
and and also too, if you want to grow something, because I'll look at something like recently I found that I can buy a vanilla plant, so I could grow my own vanilla beans, and it'll take years. That's another thing. You just be patient because good things will come. But I decided to go ahead and get the vanilla plant, and it's on its way right now. But just try think new things, and don't be afraid to do it, and don't be afraid to fail. That's the biggest lesson that I can teach to other people.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, so there's one more question. How do you treat the infected plants?
So some of the with the powdery mildew, I used I believe diatomaceous earth, and there are other ones. So the little worms that got on my radishes, I got some stuff called BT. Um, I always butcher the actual scientific name, but if you just Google BT organic pest control, it'll pop up. So I spray that on there, and because I don't really want to have to really clean my vegetables, or my daughter likes to go out there and just like pluck something off the tree or off the plant and eat it. I try to stay as organic as possible, so I use those types of things rather than pesticides that could harm us if we ingested it. So I just use things like that. Sometimes insecticidal soap, I'll use that sometimes as well.
Okay. So, like in India, we have a lot of hacks. Do you like homemade solutions? Do you use uh, something like that also? Do you have it over there?
Yeah, we have a lot of people will use for pest control. They'll use like Dawn dish soap. They'll put a little bit in water, and I think they'll put like alcohol and stuff like that. I tried the alcohol in water, but it didn't help with my fungus gnats. The best thing that I realized for that was just I just have to clean it up, clean the soil or give it fresh soil and bottom water. But I am trying some hacks this year for in the winter here in the next couple of months. I'm gonna try to get the water jugs and cut the top of it off and plant the plants in there and make it like it has like a little tiny greenhouse situation going. So I'm going to try that. Those are some hacks that I've seen. And there was one that I saw last night that had a used tea bag, and they had just taken the used tea bag, split the top of it, and put their seed in there, sowed their seed in there, and grew a little plant through that. So I thought I might try that and see if it actually works.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Okay. So coming back to the loofah, somebody wants to know how long can we use these? I think maybe she's asking
That's
using it as a body scrub.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I'll probably let you guys know. I think probably until it starts getting, kind of like frazzled looking, because I wouldn't say it's very, it's not fragile, but it's not that tough. But you can kind of see like one of them's kind of sticking out and everything like that. But I think you could probably use it quite a while. I don't
It
know. I
depends
guess
on the
we'll find out.
loofah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
How often and how vigorously we use
and
it.
how rough. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Is there a way
I mean, I think it probably that's fine.
how
I'm
can we
sorry.
clean them? How can we clean them? Like, can we just wash it and clean it after using?
Yes. Uh, yeah, I think you just rinse it off and make sure you get all the soap out of it, so that way the bacteria can't really grow. And I'm just going to kind of like leave it to where the air can get to it to kind of dry it and not have so much bacteria in it.
Oh,
I
yeah.
always worry about that with sponges, with any sponges.
Okay.
This is this is what one of the seeds looks like that came out of it.
Oh, okay. So you grow all your plants from seeds, or do you like to
Um,
through propagation, cuttings?
So this year, a lot of them were grown from seed, but I did buy some at the local nursery, uh, and and even that, whenever I kind of joke around about me using seeds because I was always sort of scared of that, and I would always say, "What am I 90? I'm growing from seeds," because it's nobody has time for that. I was always jealous of people that could do that from seed and not having a green thumb. I always thought, oh, I'll never be able to do it. But it's going pretty well. So I have quite the collection of seeds that I've collected through the past months, so I can start a really good strong garden this spring and summer. So,
Yeah, lovely,
but
interesting.
yeah.
And yeah, Erica, you told me that you were gonna show us how to harvest the seed from the basil.
Yeah. So I have this one here. It is a from a cinnamon basil plant, and I'll kind of show you on the purple petra. So you can kind of see right here the coming up through the middle of the here. And so this is the one that it dried from that. So these are what they look like whenever you get it. You'll have like pretty little flowers and the bees will come and everything, and then they'll dry and they'll look like this. So
So
what
the
I
dry
do,
plant itself.
well, the plant didn't dry from this one until recently because the frost hit it, but or didn't die. But I rescued these before the frost came. I'll bring it over here so you can see it a little better. Um, but I had harvested these little stalks and I set them, kind of set them aside so that way they could dry it before I started harvesting the seeds. Because if you harvest them before they are dry, they could mold and not germinate properly.
Oh, okay.
So So what I normally do is I'll get this thing, this little stalk. Sorry, I'm on opposite side of the camera.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up close. So I usually like strip them. I'll let them go on this counter here. So I'll strip them down so we just have a stick here, and then I'll show you this. And then you have a pile of the little blossoms, and then I'm gonna stand up for this one. So we'll get the little blossom here that dried, and then I just kind of squeeze it a little bit, and you can see that little seed came out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
lovely.
I hope
Such
you
a
can. I hope you
mindful.
can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very tiny. We always say it looks like little rat droppings. So,
Oh, okay.
and usually there's about three to four seeds that come out of the pods.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so I just kind of go like that. Oops. And they'll flip around sometimes too, so you have to be careful. But so I usually harvest as many as I can. I'll sit in front of the TV or listen to music or something while I do it, and then I'll just put them in like a cup or some kind of container and let them make sure that they're completely dried before I put them in like a little bag or something. And so this is one of them that I had harvested a little while ago.
Oh, okay, lovely.
So
And
yeah.
airtight containers, like airtight bag.
Yes, airtight. Yeah, this one's a Mylar container. You don't necessarily have to do that. A lot of people put them in envelope, like little paper envelopes,
Okay.
but it's best to store them in a cool, dry place. And even people put them in their pantries or in their closets or under their bed in a box or some kind of storage container like that. So, but it's important to keep them cool and dry.
Yeah. Interesting. So you buy seeds and you plant them, and then you harvest your own seeds, and you grow your garden like that.
That's what I'm. So I had bought the seeds before, like last year, and this is the first year for me to harvest them. So I thought,
Okay.
well, it's the cinnamon basil that I have. It was actually a plant that I bought. I didn't have the seeds until recently, and so then I started harvesting. I thought, why not? And I can share them with friends or anybody who watches the channel and they want to email me their address. I can mail the seeds to them.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
um,
Amazing. So,
and
what
so
other seeds do you harvest? Anything else?
so I
I
harvested. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, it's okay. Go, go on.
I harvested some. I planted stevia this year, and so I harvested some stevia. I did do that from seed that I had purchased, and then I harvested those. They look like little pieces of hair or something. They're pretty interesting. But I did get quite a bit of those. Lots of basil. I did harvest some okra. Here's one of the okra that I have dried right now. You can kind of hear um, the seeds in it. So I harvested some of those, the loofah, just different things like that. I
Oh,
have
interesting.
what there was a pumpkin on a stick that I my friend gave me little seedlings of this year, and I one of them had dried and had a lot of seeds, so I did harvest that so I could try to start it again next year.
Oh, lovely. Okay, so there's one question. Uh, According to you, is it easy to grow basil from seeds? Because my plant never grown from basil seeds.
Oh no, it is for me, or it has been for me. They were kind of slow moving, I will say. I don't know if I did something to keep them kind of taking forever. But whenever you sow them, maybe put, three or so seeds in there, and just barely cover the top, with a little soil, and maybe try again. I'm not sure what happened. That's sad. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Okay, yeah. So yeah, you can give us some tips to growing plants that maybe you have learned through your journey.
Yes, definitely keep an eye on them. So don't let them go dry. Something that I've heard a lot is if you let them go dry, they will die. So the little seedlings are very young and tender, kind of like a little baby. You know, you gotta nurture them quite a bit before you can send them off into the world or in the garden, so to speak. Um, I have also learned to, I have a little fan by my seedlings, so I'll turn them on there to kind of give a little airflow. That was one thing that I think if I were to be able to use that, you know, this spring, they'd be a little bit quicker to harden off outside. But hardening off is, I it's I swear by it. It's definitely something that needs to be done. Trying to
Yeah, that
think.
was an amazing thing that tip that you've shared to like take the plants out every day for some time so they get used to the temperatures and all.
And bottom watering is also a good tip to use because if you're watering on the top of the tender little seedlings, sometimes it'll knock them down to where they'll be stuck and it could cause them to have bacteria or mold underneath them and they wouldn't survive. So bottom watering has helped me a lot as well.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay, can you tell us a little about how you propagate plants,
Yeah, sure.
cuttings?
So I'll show you this mint. We actually took it out of the. So I think it's great to have to do propagation because you can do that with almost any plant, and it could be free if you have a friend or maybe you're somewhere and you see something you can trim it off. But this is mint that we took from outside, and so we trimmed it, and then I took the leaves off and stuck it in the water, and it takes a couple weeks or excuse me, about 3 or 4 days for it to root. And you can also put it in the ground and it would take off as well. I've been known to do that and they do really well. With the basil, it's kind of the same situation. I'll show you. I was going to show you with this, but I think I'm going to show you with the purple petra since it'll have less leaves to take off. So we've got the little plant here. And if you go right here, you'll see there's kind of a little armpit here where the leaf is, and it kind of goes down with the stalk. So you get your shears or snippers or some kind of scissors and make sure that they are sanitized or at least really well cleaned so that you don't give any kind of disease to the plant.
Okay.
So you go right here and you just trim it off there. And then we'll set that back over there. And then I usually go a little ways up so that I can put the water in there, but I usually take all the leaves off here so that way they don't get, you know, drowned in there and get gross, murky water. And then I'll just set it in the water. This is a little big of a cup, but I wanted to show you guys how to do it with that. But yeah, I'll just do that. And then I'll put it in indirect light. And you'll start noticing some roots come out of the bottom there and everything before too long. And also too, like I said, I did this in the summer. I would get it and just put it in the soil there next to it
Oh,
and
okay.
keep it really well watered and it'll start, you know, filling in the soil there.
Yes,
Yeah,
lovely.
very easy peasy.
Yeah. So, oh, you try both water propagation and directly in the soil as well.
Yes. Yeah,
And
I do most of it I'll do in the water because I can give these, you know, easier as gifts and things like that. Or if somebody said, I had a friend that he recently asked me for some mint, and so got him quite a few of them and put them in the water and everything. So, and then he planted them in a pot after that.
yeah, lovely. Yeah, that's a lovely way to share your plants when you're growing, and you have something extra. It's lovely to share.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And usually with basil, it's a lot of it, and mint as well. It gets pretty overwhelming at times. So I'm like, here, just take some plants, or would you like this to make some pesto? So,
Okay. Okay, so just going back to the comments, I think I've missed some. There's a question like, how do you made these? Maybe this was referring to the pickles, to the okra. I
Oh,
think that you have in the jar. If you can
yeah.
tell us a little
So
about that.
what I typically do is we clean the okra and then we put it in a solution of vinegar, water, and I use distilled water, and pickling salt. Sometimes pickle crisp if we're doing cucumbers, and these sometimes too. But it has dill and then some peppercorns, and then I also get jalapeno slices, and I'll or a sliced jalapeno, and I'll put in there because I like it to be a little spicy.
Oh,
So
okay,
that would be
interesting.
good. And
Yeah.
then and the solution was hot, and then I also water bath canned it, to add extra
Okay.
insurance that it would be safe to eat.
So how many days does it take to like get ready for the pickle to be
Get
ready
ready.
to eat?
Oh, um, with this, the recipe that I used for this, it said to wait, I think 4 to 6 weeks before opening it.
Oh,
Um, but there are some that you could just, so if I didn't pressure can it or water bath can it, excuse me, they say you can put it in the refrigerator. So overnight, just let it chill and then, you can have some the next day.
oh,
But
okay.
quick pickling is what they say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting. We have one more question. Is that a bonsai plant behind you? I think.
A
Which
bonsai
one?
plant?
I don't
No,
know. Maybe
this.
this one. Yeah, it looks like yeah, bonsai. It's
Oh,
missed pot.
yeah. No, this is the purple, or the, excuse me, the pesto perpetuo basil.
It's just a normal plant. What kind of
Yeah.
soil mixes do you use, Erica?
So for the raised beds, I had put topsoil and mixed it with some compost and mixed it around, and then I'll just fertilize. This year, I'm starting to fertilize a little more with worm castings and things of that nature, to keep the plants happy. And then in the pots and things, I've been using an organic mix, that Espoma is the brand. It's nice and fluffy, and it has vermiculite and things like that in it to keep the plants nourished, before I start putting fertilizer in it or any kind of like worm castings or anything to help them grow or
Okay,
thrive.
okay. Do you use mulch as well?
I'm starting I have a compost area, but with mulching, we started mulching up some leaves this year because our front yard gets crazy inundated with leaves, and so we do have some of that type of mulch. As far as wood chips and things like that, I haven't really used that much. I did put some in the compost pile to try to get those to where I could use it. And I have some mulch for the pathways between my garden beds out there, but it's it's kind of more for a decoration.
Oh, okay. So,
And
so
to
you,
keep.
yeah, mentioned that you have a raised bed, or and you're growing plants in the pots as well. And do you grow it like directly in the ground too?
I had tested it a little bit with some tomatoes in the directly in the ground, but the weeds come up really hard around it, so it's difficult to keep track of that and keep the weeds away and mow around it. I do have some trees that we planted. I have a Macintosh apple tree that we put out there, and a new kind of apple. I'll have to. I'm blanking out on what the name of it is, but most of them are. I have some kind of bed or something around it to protect them from weeds as much as possible. Even though we still are, it's a constant battle getting the weeds out of the flower beds and stuff, or out of the raised beds.
Uh-huh. So
But
I wanted to ask you, like, which method do you prefer growing best, like in pots, in raised beds, or directly in the ground? For you, which thing is
hmm.
best for you?
That's a good question. There are definitely pluses to both. With pots, you can move them around. So, whenever it started to get the frost happening, I could move them under protection and weather, and with the trees, I'm able to bring them inside and protect them. But with raised beds, they're out there, you can organize them in a way, and so I guess they definitely have their place for the weather, at least here. You know, I do like the raised beds a lot. They're
Uh-huh.
easy to maintain, and
Oh,
pots are too. But I think with pots it's kind of difficult because they dry out really quickly, so you have to constantly water them, and then also the fertilizer. When you fertilize them, the nutrients, it just kind of washes out whenever you after you water them and stuff like that. So
uh-huh.
it's a little easier to do it in a raised bed or in the ground because they're getting all those nutrients from the soil.
Yes, interesting. Yeah. So, it's a raised bed for you.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I would say that. I like them both, but yeah, raised beds probably. I'll
Yeah.
still do a lot of gardening in pots and stuff, and I have a tower garden as well that I'm trying out, and I'm enjoying that. And it's basically containers that are stacked on top of each other, and then you water the top of it, and it evenly distributes the water
Yes.
and fertilizer. So
Yeah, interesting. Erica, I personally like to know a little more about your olive plant. Uh, like, how many olives do you get, and what kind of olives are these? There are like many varieties of olives: green olives, black olives, Spanish olives, and they're like, there's a huge world of olives out there. So, which one is your olive
yes.
specifically?
So the ones that I have, they are these Arbequina olives.
Okay.
So they're green and purple. They turn a darker purple. So this plant is about, I believe, close to 2 years old, and it's gotten pretty big compared to what it was whenever I got him. He was pretty little. Um, and then the other ones that I have a couple that are bigger, and then two of them I bought at a nursery. They actually produced the olives this year, and there were several of them that started forming and getting bigger and everything. But I ended up only getting probably two or three of them that were actually where I could do anything with them. And sadly, I didn't. I was going to pickle them with some pickle or cucumbers or okra, and I didn't get a chance to do it this year. But I'm hoping that they do a lot better this year, and I'll be able to have enough to at least have a jar or something like that to pickle. Um, I love having a pickle with my salad and things like that. So I'm really hoping and rooting for them this year. But these I think they're too young to produce anything quite yet, so I might have to wait a couple more years.
Oh, okay. Ears.
Yes, and they are self-pollinating, so you could have just one and it would be fine, but they recommend that you have two of them so that they can have a better chance to produce uh, olives from the little flowers.
Oh, okay, lovely. So this one you grew from seed, or was it nursery bought?
It was nursery bought.
Oh, okay.
I wish I did from seed. It would be amazing.
Okay.
Or grafted it. I would like to try grafting trees as well. I think that's an interesting thing to get into.
Yes, yes, lovely. That's like there's a variety of things that you can do in gardening. You can experiment and just go wild with it.
All
It's
right. Yes.
interesting when you're into gardening. There's always you know open to opportunities. You can try new things, experiment, and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely, and share with everybody.
Yeah. So that was lovely hearing from you, Erica. Any last words that you want to share with our audience?
No, I think just you guys have fun too. Try to, if you want to do it, just do it and try it. The worst that'll happen is, you get a big harvest or you don't get anything. But I think I think definitely try. You'll get joy in it for sure.
Yes, amazing. So we really loved hearing all the lovely plants that you have and what you do with them, especially the pickles and the harvesting of the basil that you shown. It was really interesting, and the saffrons specifically.
Yes.
Yeah, that is like the show stealer. Having saffrons growing at home is like wow for us.
Thank you.
We Indians we use saffron a lot in our dishes, and
Yeah,
uh, it's a very
it's yummy.
expensive ingredient.
Yes,
And
very, very expensive. But
yeah, so we can see why it's so expensive, because you said that you can get just only two or three strands of saffron from one flower. So,
yeah, so
as yeah, go on.
go ahead. Three, yes, three from one flower, and it's once a year, so it's very, very rare, and it's a very delicate thing to pull them out as well. So, but
Yeah, so like as like the actual saffron that the end product of the saffron is expensive. Are these bulbs also expensive
no,
compared to other plants?
I didn't think it was too bad. I got 25 bulbs, and it was 18 American dollars. So
Uh,
it's not. It's just not too bad at all.
oh, okay. Okay, that's interesting. I think a lot of us should start trying to grow them instead of buying it at
I
such
agree.
an expensive cost from the
I
market.
agree. Yes.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the session, Erica. It was lovely having you with us. It was
Oh, thank you.
amazing hearing about all your beautiful plants and harvests. And
Thank you.
yeah, thank you
Well,
very
I had
much.
fun, and yes,
Everybody
thank you.
listening to us here today, thank you so much for joining us. And if you like to reach out to Erica, please find her link in the description box below. You can find her YouTube channel link also. We've put it down there. So you can check out her beautiful and amazing, interesting videos that she puts up over there on her channel. And yeah, you can learn a lot from her.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
And thank
Erica,
you
for
guys.
joining us.
Thank you, and thank you for having me, and everybody. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you guys
Most
later.
welcome. Yeah, see you around, Erica.
Yes. All right. Have a great day.
Yeah, same to you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.